Hey, ready to talk some hockey? Going to let some people join the stream, and then we'll get started on breaking down tonight's NHL slate. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 games. Surprised I didn't count those earlier, but yeah, I can count to 10 fairly quickly, and you guys all just saw that, so there's some proof. Busy slate tonight, to be honest. I didn't like a whole lot. I do have 3 bets tonight on sides and 1 total. And some of the lines moved just as I was putting together this morning's NHL betting market report. So it's it's a little bit tight today, to say the least. Kind of knew that going into the day. Took a peek at the betting lines last night before I went to bed, and I was up a little bit later than usual. Woke up early this morning and tried to get with it, and made it, like I said, made a few plays, but I didn't have any huge edges. So yeah, here we are. I will start by breaking down Tampa Bay and Toronto. So the big news here is we know Mitch Marner and Jason Spezza are not going to be in tonight's game. Spezza, he's suspended until, I believe, December 19th. There could be an appeal process there, so maybe he gets less games than, I think it was 6 that he was handed. And Marner, it looks like he's going to miss a couple of weeks. So without obviously Marner is an important piece. Spezza is more of a role player, a depth guy, but he definitely brings some positivity and boosts the team in ways that are real for sure. So it's a loss. But I've got this game, assuming Cirelli is in the lineup for the Tampa Bay Lightning on Thursday here. I've got the Maple Leafs priced around minus 120 as far as my handicap goes. So it's kind of boring, but it's right in between that plus 110 and that minus 130 consensus line that is showing up on VSiN.com. Now, I think if you look around, you could find the Tampa Bay Lightning at around plus 120, maybe even a little bit better than that. But like I said, that's not really a great bet. At that price, it would be Tampa Bay or nothing for me. But with Cirelli's status up in the air, obviously they don't have Braden Point. They don't have Braden Point. They don't have Steven Stamkos. When I post I'm gonna answer this really quick. Hi Linus, thanks for tuning in. When I post my picks on VSiN's NHL betting report, do I ever compare prices at Fanduel? No, and it's not anything against Fanduel, besides the fact that they're not a partner of VSiN's, but I just use the consensus line. I think that's fair. I think a lot of people that give out picks, they give themselves the best line. So maybe they'll go to a Pinnacle or a Circa, and they'll use that line, which is a 10-cent line, which is usually the best odds being offered anywhere. For example, Tampa Bay, plus I said the consensus line for the Lightning right now is plus 110. Well, there are books out there that offer 10-cent lines, and they're plus 120. So I try to beat the consensus line, which is a 20-cent line. Meaning, it's going to be minus 110 aside, not minus 105 aside. It makes it a lot harder. It's challenging. I think it's fair. I think it reflects, not everybody has 5 sportsbook accounts. They should have multiple accounts at different shops so they can shop around. But some people, maybe they just bet at one sportsbook, and more often than not, that sportsbook's probably going to be offering something more that closely resembles the consensus line. So I think it's I think it's just a fair way to do things. I don't have to price shop. I kind of tried to allude to that. Sometimes I'll get into that a little bit as we go on here, but I've just been tracking against the consensus line. So if you go over and head on over to VSiN.com/odds/NHL, you'll see what I'm talking about. They had the opening line. It's all Vegas books, right? So South Point, Circa, Golden Nugget, Westgate, Wynn, Station, Caesars, Mirage, and then you got the consensus. I'm definitely not doing myself any favors by doing this. Like, I could line shop and say, oh, well, it's plus 110 here, so bet it here, but it's even everywhere else. I don't think that's really fair, right? Like, I think I try to do things in a way that I kind of feel good about. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question. It's not I'm not doing anything that's book specific. What's up, Andy? Which book is the biggest market maker in the NHL? So there's a few global shops. You guys know who they are. They're the biggest sports books in the global market, and that's really what dictates the prices every day. So if a line moves at one of those shops, chances are it's going to have an impact on the rest of the market. And sometimes that's because other sports books are moving on air and copying those lines. And other times it's because when bettors see one of those shops, one of those big global shops, move their number, they go out and they look at maybe some of the retail books to try and find those numbers that are still hanging around. Some of the slower, some books that maybe don't move on that number. I respect Circa a lot. I mean, I'm good friends with Jeff Davis, who sets the hockey lines, and I believe he handles golf over there as well. But no, I mean, I love what Circa's doing. They're a great company. They've got a lot of swagger. They don't mind picking fights, which is it's kind of funny, and I appreciate that. I mean, they don't go after easy targets, that's for sure. They don't shy away from commenting on the goings on in the sports betting industry. So I've got a lot of respect for everybody. Obviously, Derek that Stevens that's running the place. Haven't met him personally, but I have a lot of respect for what he's done. And Jeffrey Benson, the sportsbook manager over there, they've built an unbelievable team. If I was a Las Vegas local, I would hope to be behind the counter there, but I'm stuck up here in Canada, so I'll make do doing what I'm doing for now. But yeah, so Tampa Bay, Toronto, not much there. I've got one player prop actually that I do like in this game. It's a little chalky, but it's Alexander Kurt. Like if you guys remember the first time these two teams met, the only other time they met this season, it was a 2-1 Maple Leafs overtime win. I'm not saying the game will be 2-1, but I think you'll see. We're looking at around a 5-goal game here on average. The Leafs, they should score about, according to the betting line and the total, they should score about 3 goals on average. And there's about only about a 33% chance that Alex Kerfoot, who plays on the second line with John Tavares and William Nylander, is going to factor in on the scoring. So you can bet Alex Kerfoot not to get a point, under 0.5 points, at minus 140. I haven't checked if that line has moved at all, but if it hasn't, that's a very good bet. Like I said, it's chalky. It's going to be a little bit of a sweat at times, but we've got two great goaltenders, and Andrei Vasilevsky in the Lightning goal. He'll more often than not, he's not going to let very many more goals in than we would expect. So I feel pretty confident about that prediction from the propagator. Kerfoot has 16 points in 27 games, but he's only registered a point in, I believe, 11 games. I'd have to double check here. I can't quite remember what it was, but I did write it in the report, so just go read that really quick. But the next one up is Chicago-Montreal. I don't have anything here on this game. Montreal, we've just added Christian Dvorak, another top 6 forward, to the injured list. It's a tough blow for Montreal. It's not like they were going to turn their season around anyway. but you got Brendan Gallagher out, you got Jeff Petrie out, you've got Tyler Toffoli out, Josh Anderson out now, Christian Dvorak, Joel Armia, Joel Edmondson. It's a very tough spot, but I mean, look, I had the Lightning in regulation money line and on the puck line when they played Montreal a couple of days ago, and it was not fun. It was not fun at all. The Canadians actually were the better team for most of that game. The Lightning. The Lightning, they do have a tendency to sometimes mail it in against some of these easier opponents, but obviously they're not as strong as a team as they used to be. But they should have taken care of the Canadians a lot easier than they did. But they did come back in the final 3 minutes. They were down 2-1, scored a tying goal, and then the go-ahead goal with 37 seconds left to cash that regulation and the money line play. But unfortunately, I didn't get the puck line empty netter to make my night really great. But you've got to watch out with this Montreal team. I mean, they're bad. They've only outshot a team, I believe, 5 times this season. They haven't outshot a team once in their last 11 games. It's tough. I mean, Chicago's a bad hockey team. They do have Marc-Andre Fleury in goal. They've got some dangerous shooters. They deserve to be the favorite here. However, I've got it around minus 122 in favor of the Blackhawks. And that's basically where you're seeing Montreal come back on the other side at plus 122. So not a great bet there. I don't foresee myself getting involved in this game whatsoever. Tempted to bet some player props, but Chicago's just so spotty on defense that maybe this is a night where Montreal is able to drum up some offense with the likes of Nick Suzuki and Cole Caulfield and players like that. But there is a game that I do have a little bit of interest in. It's Anaheim and Columbus. The Ducks, they're without Ryan Getzlaf and Adam Henrique, both players on injured reserve. I think the Ducks have kind of slipped a little bit as of late. They've got some wins here, and it's not like they've been losing games, but they haven't been playing well. If you look at their underlying numbers, specifically in the last 3 games since Getzlaf and Henrique have, I don't know if Henrique has been gone for 3, but he's definitely been gone for 2, I think. So in the last 3 games since they lost Getzlaf, it's been rough. Like they haven't had a very strong expected goal share in any of those games. So you're coming in Columbus, not a very good team, but they're all right at home, and I've got the Ducks, handicapped and lined around minus 112, minus 111. I actually haven't pulled the trigger on this one yet. I could take minus 106, I believe, is the best price that I'm seeing out there right now. But I was just hoping that maybe I can get closer to even money on that. But we'll see. I probably will end up missing it because I've got some plans tonight for the first time in a while. But I'm not gonna worry about it too much. It's not like I'm totally in love with the play. I've got about a 7-cent edge right now, which is basically just on the fringes of being able to be a play. But there is one player prop that I like. I shouldn't say I necessarily like it, but it's plus EV, and that's Oliver Borkstrand under 0.5 points, plus 135 at DraftKings. I have no idea if that line is still around. BetMGM was plus 120. He's only registered a point in about 50% of his games. He's got some multi-point games that have helped pad his stats, and he's had a great season. He's got 24 points in 21 games, but 50% of the time he's not registering a point. And yes, the Blue Jackets are at home, but plus 135, that's the biggest price I've seen on a Borkstrand under this season, and against an Anaheim team that is capable of shutting a team down sometimes, and maybe shutting out a team like they did the Buffalo Sabres just a couple of nights ago. I think it's an interesting prop, and I played it at plus 135. So that's Borkstrand under 0.5 points, plus 135. I mean, like I said, it should, according to the Propagator, the app that I use just about every day over at VSiN, it should be priced at around plus 100. So I mean, even if you do find plus 120, it might be maybe go a little bit smaller on that, but it looks like a fun bet, a good sweat at plus price. But yeah, no, I'm probably going to pass on the game, the side and the total here. I'm also probably going to pass on the side and the total in the Nashville and the Islanders game. So I make the Islanders a small favorite, if David Rittich is in the goal. I think it's closer to a coin flip. Actually, I think it's closer to a Nashville favorite here if you Saros is in the goal. But then you've got Matthias Ekholm. He's out too, or he's questionable right now. But him and Saros and Matt Benning, who isn't really anything to worry about. They're all dealing with a non-COVID related illness right now. So it looks like we're not going to learn who will start in goal for the Predators until the warm up. If it is you Saros, and you can get the Predators at a plus price, I don't think that's a terrible bet by any means. But this Islanders team has been, obviously, I'm not going to go too hard on them here because they have had such a tough start to the season, and it really wasn't necessarily in their control. But since they've come back from their postponement, it's been rough. Like they got a win over the Senators, who were on the second half of a back-to-back. But they're not generating much. They are getting outplayed, and it's kind of a regular thing here. And they're players like Matt Barzal and Anthony Beauvillier aren't really raising their game. They're not stepping up right now. And without Ryan Pulock on defense, without Brock Nelson, who is obviously a leader and somebody that can drive play for the Islanders, not in the lineup, it's a big loss. And I would need a much more generous price to be interested in betting against this Nashville team, who has frustrated me quite a bit this season. It wasn't always it hasn't always been due to the strong play of Saros either. So maybe I've got to reassess how I'm approaching games where the Nashville Predators are involved. So yeah, nothing there. But if you are interested in this game, I would totally wait until the warm-ups here in the next 15 minutes or so, 20 minutes. Are there any teams you stay away from betting? Well, I haven't bet on the Coyotes all season. I mean, why bet on them now when you can wait until March or or April when they're 4-1 and everybody thinks, oh yeah, they've got nothing to play for. Listen, they had nothing to play for all season. So, I think you'll see some even bigger prices on a team like the Coyotes when the playoff picture is shaped and they maybe sell off some assets at the trade deadline and things like that. But until then, I'll probably be staying away from that team. I haven't bet on the Kraken in a while. I did bet on the Seattle Kraken in a while. And I'm right now I'm a little bit down on the Detroit Red Wings. And maybe it's more me being down on how my model prices them on a regular basis. I haven't. Really, I don't really think that what I'm seeing, I don't really think that it is, I don't really think that it's, the numbers match up with what I see from that team on a nightly basis. So I'm a little bit more cautious about this Red Wings team here. I passed. I do have some value on the Red Wings here tonight, and they probably have a decent chance of pulling out a win with Charlie Lindgren in the St. Louis goal. But I shouldn't say they have a pretty good chance. They've got a chance of pulling out a win, but I make the game around plus 140. You can bet plus 150. I'm gonna pass. I'm just not feeling it. Grinch, what do you attribute all the high scoring to this season? Well, we're only a little over a quarter of the way into the season. Scoring rates fluctuate all the time. I mean, we could, there were some, higher penalty rates early, but that didn't really seem to affect anything. It's, wait a month, it'll probably balance out. I think I've seen, if you monitor the scoring rates throughout the course of the season, you'll see, it fluctuates. So I mean, just like everything else, I think it's kind of hard to nail that down, and especially in a small sample. hasn't really been any wholesale changes to the game that I think are causing any sort of rise in scoring. So variance, maybe the fact that teams are getting out and traveling, and you know, it's not something they're used to. I don't know. Seems like kind of a logical thing to point to, but I'd have to look into it a little bit more. Boston, Edmonton. I'm going to this game tonight. I am looking forward to it. First game of the season. I haven't got out much since the regular season started. So looking forward to seeing the Bruins and the Oilers go at it. Obviously, Boston on the second half of a back-to-back here. They played in Vancouver tonight. Now they're here in Edmonton. It's not a great spot for the Bruins, obviously, but this Oilers team, I mean, I think everybody's a little bit worried about them. They haven't had the secondary scoring, frankly, that I thought they would have. I knew their defense and their goaltending were, that it was going to be an issue, but you looked at that forward group, and even in the bottom six, there was some hope there that they could, do something a little more meaningful than just, simply rely on Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl night in, night out. But they haven't, and it's been the McDavid and Draisaitl show, and when they aren't going, like they haven't been the last couple of games, it's usually results in an Oilers loss. And I've got the Oilers priced at around minus 115, so the consensus line is minus 125 now. The Bruins plus 105. I'm pretty sure you can get Boston. Yeah, you might be able to get a plus 110 out there, but like I said, minus 115 Oilers. I'm assuming Linus Ullmark gets the start for the Bruins tonight. Jeremy Swayman took the overtime loss in Vancouver last night. It's a tough spot. I do have one player prop in this game. It's Patrice Bergeron over 3.5 shots on goal, plus 120, plus 115 at I believe it's plus 120 at BetMGM and plus 115 at DraftKings. Bergeron's gone over. He's registered at least 4 shots in 50% of his games, and that's exactly where the puck propagator estimates his or prices his chances tonight at around 50%. So the odds should be closer to plus 100. Plus 112 Bruins, no, I don't like it. It's, minus 115 Oilers is my price. So in order for me to start, kind of like being interested in Boston, I'd want it to be around plus 120. But that I don't think you'll see it, but I would wait till game time and see where it is closer to game time. You never know. Maybe there's that last rush by somebody to buy low on the Oilers, and maybe they'll push that Boston line up a little bit. But that's my advice. I'm not gonna get it like super involved in this game. I'm going out with my wife for the first time in a while, and I don't want to ruin the date night by sweating a game. So don't ever think I just bet for action. I sure don't. Patrice Bergeron over 3.5 shots, plus 120. Should be around plus 100. Bergeron had 9 shots on goal in Vancouver last night. The Oilers are a middling team defensively. They give up about an average amount of shots. Yeah, can't ruin your evening. Yeah, I'm going to cheer on the Boston Bruins, so I don't want to bet on them and then have them lose, because then I can get over just the loss. It is what it is. But I do like the Bergeron prop a lot. It's actually my favorite prop tonight, arbitrarily, because Bergeron's wearing a bubble right now. He got the full cage on. He's fearless, man. Like, if I was in the NHL, which I'm clearly not, and I clearly never will be, I would wear a full cage, and I would talk so much trash and just taunt people, and I would go to the net hard, and I would be fearless, because you ain't gonna get your teeth knocked out. You're not gonna get a stick in the face. You're covered. So I don't know why more people do it. Obviously, Bergeron had that facial injury. But he was great last night in Vancouver, and he's gone over this mark in 50% of the game. So against a team like the Oilers, yeah, he's tired, he's probably going to be tasked with trying to shut down Connor McDavid and Draisaitl tonight. But I'm betting that Bergeron's going to be around the net. But yeah, no, I mean, like if I had the bubble on and I was in the show, I would talk so much trash because it would frustrate the hell out of guys. They'd be like, "Whoa, I want to kill him, but I can't. He has the bubble on." See, I'm telling you. Marchand, like Brad Marchand should wear a bubble and then just talk so much trash. Everybody would hate him for it, but it would be hilarious. I'm sure people probably hate me right now for even suggesting this, so it's all good. Moving on though, Carolina and Calgary, the Flames. They're coming through. They're going through Canada right now. I believe they're in Vancouver next. Maybe Edmonton actually. But they don't have Tony DeAngelo. They don't have Brett Pesce. It's big. It's like they took care of the Jets a couple of nights ago in Winnipeg, but this Flames team is a whole different beast. I mean, according to evolvinghockey.com, Calgary and Carolina are 1 and 2 by expected goals. So, through the lens of expected goals, you've got the two best teams in the league going head to head here. And the road team, who is the Hurricanes in this instance, are without two of their best defensemen. And, that's tough. And the Flames, they've got an edge in goal. I'm still hoping, the last I checked, I don't think, I'll have to double check right now. I don't think Carolina had confirmed a goaltender. No, so dailyfaceoff.com, they have Frederik Andersen listed unconfirmed. That Jacob Markstrom is confirmed. If it's Anthony, some of you said, AJ, you said earlier, I think that you couldn't get that minus 125, and that's why I didn't list it as a play this morning. I told people, hey, I bet the Flames as minus 125, and when I was writing the report, which is right around the same time that I bet it personally, I had listed it, Calgary Flames, minus 125, half size. It was only going to be a small wager because I was hoping to get around minus 120, but I wasn't able to get that. And I explained that, hey, I didn't list it because the consensus line is minus 130 everywhere right now. So it's, it's unfortunate, but hopefully, Calgary number has been shaded all day on U.S. books. Well, yeah, so the consensus, like this morning, the consensus line was minus 130. Of the 8 books that had the game up, I think 3 of them had minus 125. So, or 4 of them had minus 125 and 4 of them had minus 130. Or actually, Circa was minus 127. So, yeah, minus 130. I just couldn't give it out at minus 125 in good faith. And I wanted to kind of be clear that minus 125 is my cutoff. But what I would do is I would wait, because I handicapped this game assuming Frederik Andersen is going to be in goal, right, for the Hurricanes. There's a chance that he's not, and maybe it's Antti Ranta in the goal. And if that's the case, then I would be able to justify a small wager at minus 130. So maybe I'll add a little bit more myself, since I do have some at minus 125. But for anybody who is wants to get on Calgary today, I know there's several hockey handicappers that I saw. I know Dom Lucian from The Athletic is on the Flames today. I know So Money Sports, you guys might know him from Twitter. He's on the Flames today, and myself. And that's a kind of a reason why, not why I bet it, but when I was wondering, okay, is there going to be any resistance here? Is there somebody out there in the market that's going to like the Carolina Hurricanes at this price? And there wasn't. And I talked to Dom, really early this morning, like, hey, how do you feel about the Flames? He's like, oh yeah, I'm going to bet the Flames. I'm like, oh, okay, I might as well bet them. And then shortly after I bet them, then So Money came in and posted on Twitter that he bet them. So I assume he was probably doing it at the same time that I was. By the time I got the report together, tried to get it out to everybody, it had already moved. And it is what it is. I wouldn't reach on things like this. I personally wouldn't have betted at minus 130. I know that might seem silly to some of you, but I stick to my prices. I'm looking for minus 1. I think it was minus 127 or better. Yeah, and I hope they win. I mean, AJ, he said the way I do my write-ups is awesome. Thank you. Can find value a lot of the times when it's not in your official play by reading your write-ups. I do try to like kind of give some insight. Sometimes I don't necessarily, and I hope none of you think this is like a cop-out or me trying to dodge, giving out a number. But sometimes there's so much going on, or there's so many variables at play that I don't really want to like say like, oh hey, I make this game minus 150, because it's just and trying to to say like, but I make it minus 140 if this happens, and minus 148 if this happens, and minus 160. Like it just gets a little like it would get convoluted and be pretty hard to follow. So I do try my best to like kind of give people a hint towards where I think the price is going to go depending on what's going to happen, right? So I hope you guys are learning a little bit from that, and I hope that people are feeling maybe even a little bit more self-sufficient. Like, hey, like I hope that you're finding plays that you like without my help, and maybe even beating me to a play here or there. Yeah, thanks. I appreciate that. I really try hard to explain to people where I'm at and why I'm doing what I'm doing, and that's not always this team's better or whatever, because I've already put all that into the handicapping process, and now I'm just looking for numbers. And I do try to add some context sometimes, but I know you guys know how it is, and you want to get down on the right bets at the right times, and hope that the results go your way. And for the last month, the results, or the month and a little bit here since the start of November, results have been going my way. It was a brutal first 2.5 to 3 weeks. I think if you look back, I lost 7 units in the first 2.5 weeks, and since then I made 5 or 6, or around, I think 5. So, I'm digging my way out. And it's been taxing, it's been frustrating at times, but hey, that's gambling, right? So I mean, I hope that guy that joined the chat the last time around and said he was fading my picks is enjoying himself. But yeah, so I mean, look, it's I hope you guys are having fun. Winnipeg, Seattle. Not a whole lot here. The Kraken might get Giordano back tonight. Mark Giordano, their captain, their best defender. He has been cleared after spending a bunch of time. I believe he was stuck in Florida. Not a bad place to be stuck, I guess, but I believe he was stuck in quarantining in Florida before he could get back home to Seattle. Even after or until he cleared and whatnot. So he might be back tonight. I make the Jets around a minus 107 favorite, I think. Philip Grubauer, Connor Hellebuck. I was curious that maybe the Jets could go with Eric Comrie here, the backup, but that's not the case. They're going to go with Connor Hellebuck unless something changes. I don't know. So I don't really have a whole lot of interest in this game. I think it's I'm priced right between the minus 110 on each side here. You would have to get Seattle plus 115, I think, before I would consider it, and I probably wouldn't consider it because, as you guys brought up before, they're on my NFG list, and I don't know. I'm sure somebody can figure out what NFG stands for. But no, the Kraken, they're a good team, but they've got a lot of problems, and they haven't sorted many of them out yet. So not too interested there. Another game that I do have a play in, I believe you can still get this number if you shop around, is Minnesota and the San Jose Sharks over 6 goals, plus 100. VSiN consensus line is showing 6 under minus 120, so 20-cent line. That brings the other side to plus 100. I bet it at around plus 105 average. But yeah, I like it down to plus 100 for a small half-size play on over San Jose and Minnesota. I was hoping that Capo Kakinen, the backup in Minnesota, would start against Aiden Hill. Hill has really kind of been performing pretty poor this last little bit, and Reimer's been really the guy that's been kind of carrying the Sharks, but Reimer is sidelined right now, and Hill is starting his 5th consecutive game, and he hasn't been good. And I do kind of lean towards the Sharks here, but I think my model and my process, my handicapping process, is starting to kind of catch up to the Wild a little bit. A week ago, I probably would have had a bet on the Sharks, and now I don't. Yeah, Jarrett Spurgeon back tonight for the Wild. Matthew Dumba out. Sort of balances out, I guess. I think Spurgeon is a more important player. Yeah, I don't know. I like the Wild, they can score. They're in near the top of the league in terms of scoring rates, and Talbot, he's good, but he's not he's not above letting in a few a bad goal here and there. So I think this is going to be a relatively high scoring game. I've got it. I think the over 6 should be priced closer to -110, which I think is where it's at some books. So a small edge, but an edge nonetheless. So yeah, they did. Sharks did really kill us a few games on both sides when I bet on them and when I bet against them. I don't think I'll ever forget when they were missing like 7 or 8 guys, some pretty important players, and the Winnipeg Jets were in town, and I got a great price on Winnipeg, and San Jose, they mopped the floor with them. It looked like the Jets were the ones that were dealing with the COVID outbreak, but it was the Sharks, a lot of them baby Sharks from the AHL affiliate that got called up, and they played great. So it's how it goes sometimes. I think hockey, more than any other sport, is about, well, any of the major sports. I mean, it's about effort. You have to put the effort in. You can't just coast through a game no matter how much talent you've got. If you're the superior team, I mean, it's tough to win even if you're the better team if you're not going to work your opponents. So that's what happens sometimes. But the last game is the Dallas Stars and the Los Angeles Kings, and I've got a small bet on all small plays tonight. I got a small bet on the Flames. I got a small bet on the over 6 in Minnesota and San Jose at +100, and I've got a small bet on the Kings at +110. Don't really see any +110. The Westgate, it looks like, has +110. I'm sure if you guys look around, I'm sure you'll find a +110 somewhere if you want to tail this one. I don't love it. Like, it's obviously, like I said, it's a small play, but Dallas has been playing great hockey. They've been playing their best, the best that they have since their run to the Stanley Cup. They've probably been playing better than they did then. So it's a little bit scary. Jake Ottinger should be in goal tonight for the Stars. I think Jonathan Quick will be in goal for the Kings. And here's the thing. And maybe I shouldn't. I bet the Kings at open. They open around +115-ish. I grabbed some around there. I think around +112. It moved +105, +100, and once again, by the time that I got the betting market report out, it was gone, and it was at +100, even money. I couldn't list it as an official play. I stated that in the report, but since then, it's come back up at a little bit at some books. Now, I've found that the market has still been moving against Jonathan Quick. Anytime that they might think Cal Peterson is going to start, and Jonathan Quick gets the nod, it's like an auto move against the LA Kings, and I'm not so sure that's what we should be doing anymore, because the Kings are Peterson, he's got a lot of potential, and Quick hasn't been good for a few years now. He went from being one of the best goaltenders in the league to being looking like he was totally washed up. I believe he had a little bit of some injury troubles and stuff like that, and I'm pretty sure that he spent some time with some goalie coaches trying to change his game, maybe play a little bit less aggressive. The older you get, the harder it is to play that aggressive style like he was kind of known for. But here he is. He's carrying this team this year. Jonathan Quick has saved, according to Evolving Hockey, he's saved the team 8 goals almost 8 goals more. Oh, let's say 7. It's 7.4. What am I doing? I can't round off to 8 from 7.4. Idiot. But he's saved the team about 7 goals above what an average goaltender would save the team, with taking shot quality into account, right? So Peterson, on the other hand, he's allowed 4 goals more than you would expect an average goaltender based on the quality of shots that he's faced. So Jonathan Quick's the guy right now, and he's playing hot. And when you watch him, he looks like he's got his confidence back, and that might seem kind of silly and arbitrary, but I've seen it, and I'm not going like Jonathan Quick out for a while there seemed like he was an auto fade. It was like you just bet against him whenever there was a surprise start, but it's not the case anymore. So if I think for anybody that's listening that's not in on the Kings right now, hang out right before this game. Look for Jonathan Quick to lead the team out from warm ups about a half an hour before the game, and see if the market shifts towards the Stars. And if it does, the Stars, they're tired. They've got a good goaltender. They've got a good team, but LA is competitive. They have Drew Doughty back now. Maybe it gets to plus 115 or plus 120. I'll sure be pissed if it does, because I took plus 110, plus 111, or plus 112. So I'll be choked. But you guys might be able to benefit from that. So I wouldn't necessarily go rush to find a plus 110. If you want to, go ahead. It's a plus EV wager. But maybe the market feels differently closer to game time, because that certainly is the case sometimes. So, it's not a great night, but hopefully you guys. Michael, thanks for tuning in, man. I hope that you can find some value. I'll just quickly recap everything here before I sign off. And like I said, I'm heading out to the Oilers and the Bruins game tonight. First live game of the season. Bergeron over 3.5 shots, plus 115, plus 120. Oliver Borkstrand under 0.5 points, plus 135, even plus 120. If that's all you can find, it's not a bad bet. And Alexander Kerfoot of the Toronto Maple Leafs under 0.5 points, minus 140. Should be closer to minus 200 according to the propagator. He should only score a point about 33% of the time. He does play, like I said before, he plays on a line with not Austin Matthews, John Tavares and William Nylander. So, he's going to be around, but I like the bet. Minus 140 should be should be minus 200. And then the three bets that I made, and I'll try to quickly give you guys some context really quick. I have a small bet on the Los Angeles Kings at plus 110. Like I was just saying, you can probably find some plus 110 out there right now, but maybe the market shifts towards the Stars when Jonathan Quick is confirmed as the starting goaltender. He's expected to start in goal, and in that case, I would, I don't think that's right. And I think Quick has been good this year. We're looking at we're starting to see a pretty decent sample here, and he's been good, and he looks good. So Kings at plus 110 or better for a small play. You might get up around plus 115, plus 120. You never know. So it might be worth it to wait until right before the game to see what happens there. And then we were talking about Carolina and Calgary. Calgary is another small play that I have at minus 125. I would not reach here at minus 130 unless Antti Ranta gets the starting goal, because I've got Frederik Andersen projected to be the starting goaltender, but there's a chance that he gets the night off. Jacob Markstrom is confirmed, so if Antti Ranta does get the start for the Hurricanes, then I would be okay with a small play on minus 130. I would probably add a little bit more myself, because I already have some minus 125, but hopefully Michael, thanks for tuning in again. And yeah, so, don't take minus 130 now. Wait until you see if Antti Ranta is starting, because if he is, then minus 130 is a decent bet, but only for a small wager, in my opinion. And then the third and final bet that I have outside of the player props is Minnesota Wild, San Jose Sharks over 6 goals, plus 100 or better. I bet around plus 105. You might find some of that around still. These are two teams that can score, specifically the Wild. Adin Hill hasn't been good this season, so looking for some goals, and hopefully we'll get them. Hopefully we'll get them early. Nothing worse than sweating a total late. You want to get it out. You want to cash that thing halfway through the game. That would be ideal, wouldn't it? But yeah, thanks for tuning in. I will enjoy the game. I hope you guys enjoy what should be a pretty good night of hockey. I'm not going to get, usually, one of the reasons I don't go to many games is because I've got 4 or 5 screens here to watch games on. Why would I go, just watch one with a bunch of people I don't know. But you got to get out sometimes, right? So that's what I'm gonna do. Yeah, good luck, take care, and I'll see you guys next week.